This is Cine Script, where movies get retold, scene by scene.
The story begins in Tokyo, where a high school student named Shun Takahata is known for being very intelligent, but because he is smarter than most of his classmates, life feels boring to him. He has no excitement or challenges left, so he often wishes that something interesting would happen. One day, that wish turns into a nightmare. Without warning, a strange Daruma doll suddenly appears inside Shun's classroom. At first, Shun is so distracted that he doesn't even notice the creepy figure standing right in front of him. Because of this, he almost moves at the wrong moment and barely escapes death. He quickly realizes that whenever the doll is looking at them, nobody can move. The students freeze in fear. When the Daruma turns around, everyone sees a chance to escape and rushes toward the classroom door, but the door is locked. They are trapped inside. As soon as the Daruma turns back, two students who are still moving are instantly killed, shocking everyone in the room. Panic spreads through the classroom. Nobody understands what is happening. Then a student named Satake manages to calm everyone down. He explains that they have been forced into a deadly version of the game, red light, green light. Whenever the Daruma turns its back and starts speaking, the students can move. But the moment it finishes speaking and turns around, anyone who is still moving will die. The class becomes even more terrified, but Satake notices something important. He spots a button on the Daruma's back and tells everyone that pressing it should end the game. Hearing this, one student decides to make a run for it. He waits for the doll to start talking and then sprints toward it. For a moment, it looks like his plan might work, but the Daruma suddenly finishes its sentence much faster than before and turns around instantly. The student is caught moving and is killed right in front of everyone. The remaining students are horrified. Then they notice a timer on the Daruma's body. There is less than a minute left before the game ends. Thinking they have no other choice, many students panic and charge toward the doll. One after another, they are eliminated. Soon, only Shun and Satake are left alive. With just a few seconds remaining, they decide to work together. Satake crouches down and lets Shun use him as a step. Shun jumps into the air and, with only 1 second left on the timer, manages to press the button on the Daruma's back. The doll suddenly stops moving and announces that the game is over. Relieved, Shun and Satake celebrate their victory. They believe they have both survived, but just as they start congratulating each other, something horrible happens. Satake's head suddenly explodes. Shun stands frozen in shock. The Daruma calmly explains that only Shun actually pressed the button. Since Satake never touched it himself, he was not considered a winner. That means Shun is the only survivor of the game. Unable to believe what he has just witnessed, Shun desperately calls out for help, but before anyone can answer, the Daruma speaks one final time. It tells him, "I am the mouse, and the cat is coming." Shun has no idea what that means, but it sounds like a clue for the next deadly game. A few moments later, the classroom door finally opens. Standing outside is Shun's childhood friend, Ichika Akamoto. She looks completely terrified and shocked by what she is seeing. As she rushes towards Shun to help him, it becomes clear that this nightmare is far from over. Shun quickly runs over to Ichika and asks what happened to her. She explains that she was also forced to play the Daruma game in her classroom, but unlike Shun's game, when she pressed the button, all of her classmates were automatically eliminated, leaving her as the only survivor. Hearing this, Shun is shocked because the exact same thing happened in his class. Realizing that something terrible is going on, he suggests calling the police right away, but when he checks his phone, he discovers that there is no signal at all. Nobody can contact the outside world. Even so, Shun refuses to give up. He suggests leaving the school and finding help somewhere else. However, when they try to escape, they discover that every door in the building is locked. The only door that remains open leads to the school gymnasium. With no other choice, they enter the gym. The moment they step inside, the door behind them slams shut. Once again, they are trapped. But this time, they are not alone. Several students are already gathered in the middle of the gym. Some of them are even wearing rat costumes. As Shun looks around, he notices strange Japanese characters written on the floor. After reading them, he realizes they are instructions for the next game. The message says that they must give the bell to the cat in order to win. As everyone tries to understand what that means, one of the students wearing a rat costume advises the others to put on the costumes too. He warns them that nobody knows what might happen if they don't. Before anyone can make a decision, the floor suddenly shakes. Then the ground opens up beneath them, and a giant cat statue rises from the center of the gym. A few seconds later, cheerful music begins playing, and then the giant cat starts moving. Without warning, it lunges forward and swallows one of the students wearing a rat costume. The terrified students immediately scatter and run in every direction. The giant cat soon moves toward Ichika. She braces herself for the worst, but surprisingly, the creature ignores her. Instead, it turns around and stretches its spring-like neck across the gym, swallowing other students dressed as rats. While running for her life, Ichika notices a bell rolling across the floor. At the same time, Shun spots a basketball hoop hanging from the giant cat's collar. Suddenly, everything starts to make sense. The clue on the floor said they must give the bell to the cat. Looking at the hoop attached to the cat's neck, Shun realizes that they probably need to throw the bell through the basket. He quickly tells everyone his idea. One of the students from the basketball team grabs the bell and asks Ichika to throw it to him. After catching it, he takes careful aim and launches it toward the hoop. For a moment, it looks like a perfect shot, but the giant cat reacts instantly. It blocks the throw and sends the bell flying back with incredible force. The impact slams the student into a wall, killing him instantly. The remaining students are horrified. A moment later, the giant cat looks directly at Shun. He thinks he's about to die, but once again, the creature ignores him and attacks another student wearing a rat costume instead. That's when Shun finally understands the real rule of the game. The cat is hunting the rats. He immediately warns everyone to take off their rat costumes. The students quickly remove them, believing they have finally figured out how to survive. For a brief moment, it seems like they are safe. But then the giant cat starts moving again. This time, it doesn't care who is wearing a costume and who isn't. It begins attacking everyone in sight. Panic spreads through the gym as the students run for their lives. During the chaos, Ichika falls to the ground right next to the bell. As she looks up, she realizes something terrifying. There are only 3 minutes left before the game ends, and if they don't figure out how to get the bell to the cat before time runs out, they are all going to die. The giant cat slowly moves toward Ichika and opens its huge mouth, ready to swallow her whole. Just when it seems like all hope is lost, Shun suddenly appears wearing a rat costume. He runs in front of the cat and grabs its attention, saving Ichika at the last second. The cat immediately starts chasing him around the gym. Shun runs from side to side, barely avoiding its attacks. Meanwhile, he asks the other students to throw the bell into the basket, but after seeing what happened to the basketball player earlier, nobody is brave enough to try. As Shun keeps running, he suddenly starts hearing a strange voice. To his surprise, he realizes that because he is wearing the rat costume, he can actually understand what the cat is saying. When he listens carefully, he discovers something unexpected. The giant cat keeps complaining that its back is itchy and wishes someone would scratch it so it can relax and fall asleep. Shun immediately gets an idea. He runs behind the cat, climbs onto its back, and grabs onto the ropes hanging from its body. Then he starts scratching its back. Almost instantly, the cat enjoys it. Instead of attacking him, it starts asking for more. The giant creature becomes calmer and calmer with every scratch. Realizing he can't do it alone, Shun asks the other students for help. Ichika quickly joins him, and soon the remaining students climb onto the cat as well. Together, they keep scratching its back until the giant cat finally falls asleep. With the cat out of the way, Shun picks up the bell and prepares to throw it into the basket, but before he can do it, the other students rush toward him. They are afraid that only the person who throws the bell will survive the game. Soon, everyone starts arguing over who should take the shot. Their loud shouting wakes the cat up. In an instant, the giant creature attacks again and kills 2 students at once. Now there isn't enough time to make it fall asleep again. Thinking fast, Shun comes up with another plan. He grabs a torn basketball and asks Ichika to go with him to the locker room. A short time later, they return carrying both the ball and the bell, which they have hidden inside a rat costume. Then they split up. Ichika runs on one side while Shun runs on the other, confusing the giant cat about which one is carrying the real bell. As they get closer, Shun purposely lets everyone see that he is holding the basketball. The cat believes the ball contains the bell and focuses all its attention on him. But that was exactly what Shun wanted. At the last second, he reveals that the real bell is hidden inside the torn basketball. He quickly throws it toward the basket. Unfortunately, his aim is slightly off. The bell reaches the hoop but doesn't go in. For a moment, everyone thinks the game is over. Then, out of nowhere, a tough student named Amaya jumps down from above. Using perfect timing, he slams the bell through the basket, winning the game with only seconds remaining. The giant cat immediately shuts down. A few moments later, it comes back to life just long enough to announce the winners. Only 3 names are called: Amaya, Shun, and Ichika. Shun is confused because the other students are still standing nearby. Then he notices something horrifying. Amaya is attacking them with an iron bar. One after another, he knocks the surviving students unconscious. Shun can't believe what he's seeing. Amaya calmly walks toward him and says that they have been chosen by God. According to him, only the chosen ones deserve to survive. Ichika immediately tells him that he's crazy and shouldn't compare himself to Shun. Amaya doesn't like hearing that at all. Angry, he moves toward Ichika, forcing Shun to step in and stop him. Before the situation can get any worse, the giant cat suddenly releases a cloud of gas. Within seconds, all 3 of them lose consciousness and collapse. Meanwhile, Meanwhile, the strange games are no longer a secret. Across the world, news channels begin reporting the mysterious disappearances of thousands of young people. At the same time, enormous floating cubes have started appearing out of nowhere, leaving everyone confused and terrified. Sometime later, Shun wakes up inside one of these giant cubes. As he looks around, he is surprised to see an old classmate named Takaru, who transferred schools years ago. But that's not all. Two other students are also inside the room. Their names are Taira and Akashi. Just like Shun, they managed to survive the deadly Daruma and giant cat games at their own schools. Now, surrounded by new survivors and trapped inside a mysterious floating cube, Shun realizes that the nightmare is far from over. The next deadly game is about to begin. As Shun looks around the room, he notices something strange. Everyone there has a last name that starts with the letter T. This makes him think that the survivors have been divided into different rooms based on their surnames. If that's true, then there must be many other rooms inside the giant cube. The realization immediately worries him. Ichika's last name is Akamoto, which means she is probably in a different room. Even worse, she could be trapped in the same room as Amaya. Shun rushes to the door and starts banging on it, hoping someone on the other side might hear him. But the door remains locked. Seeing this, Taira, an incredibly arrogant genius, tells Shun to stop wasting his time. According to him, nobody is coming to rescue them. To prove his point, Taira activates a hologram screen that displays news reports from around the world. The reports show the giant cubes floating in different places across the planet. The truth is terrifying. Everyone trapped inside these cubes is completely cut off from the outside world. There is no escape, and all they can do is wait for the next game. Suddenly, a loud knocking sound comes from the door. To everyone's surprise, the locked door slowly opens by itself. A few seconds later, 4 creepy Kokeshi dolls walk into the room. Once inside, one of the dolls immediately invites Taira to participate in the next game. Since Taira is extremely confident in his intelligence, he accepts without even thinking twice. With the first player chosen, the dolls explain the rules. The game is called Kagome Kagome, a traditional Japanese game. In this challenge, one person must sit blindfolded in the center, while the dolls walk around them in a circle singing a song. When the song ends, the player has 10 seconds to guess which doll is standing directly behind them. If the answer is wrong, they lose. Believing the game will be easy, Taira puts on the blindfold and confidently sits in the middle of the room. At first, everything goes smoothly. The dolls begin circling around him while singing. But when the song finally stops, Taira suddenly becomes nervous. For the first time, his confidence starts to disappear. He takes a guess and gets it wrong. Instantly, one of the dolls opens its eyes and fires a strange beam of light at him. A second later, Taira loses control of his own body. His body starts moving on its own, forcing him to repeatedly slam his head against the floor until he dies. The room falls silent. The remaining students are horrified. After eliminating Taira, the dolls choose Ta as the next player. Terrified, she refuses to participate. But one of the dolls tells her that refusing means certain death anyway. With no other choice, she agrees to play. Trembling with fear, she sits down and puts on the blindfold. Soon, the song ends, and it is time for her to guess. But Ta is so scared of making a mistake that she freezes completely. The seconds keep ticking away. Before she can answer, the 10-second limit expires. She is automatically disqualified. Panic takes over. Ta jumps to her feet and tries to run away, but the dolls quickly surround her. A beam of light strikes her forehead, and the dolls grab hold of her from every side. Moments later, she is eliminated as well. Now, only Shun and To are left. The Kokeshi dolls soon turn their attention toward To and invite her to play next. Looking at his frightened friend, Shun can tell that she is in no condition to handle the challenge, and if she plays now, her chances of surviving are almost zero. Seeing how terrified To is, Shun decides to take her place in the game. He sits down in the center of the room and puts on the blindfold. As the Kokeshi dolls begin singing, Shun listens very carefully to every sound around him. When the song finally ends, it is time for him to guess which doll is standing behind him. But instead of answering right away, Shun stays silent and thinks carefully. A few seconds later, one of the dolls suddenly announces that his time is up. However, Shun immediately calls out the correct answer. The dolls insist that he answered too late, but Shun quickly proves them wrong. He reveals that he secretly recorded the entire game and shows that only 6 seconds had passed when he gave his answer. In other words, he was still within the 10-second limit. The dolls are surprised and ask how he figured it out. Shun then explains his clever trick. During the previous 2 rounds, the dolls never changed their positions. The same doll had announced the end of the time limit each time, so all he had to do was listen for that doll's voice to figure out exactly where everyone was standing. The dolls realize that Shun has beaten the game fairly. A moment later, all 4 Kokeshi dolls crumble into dust. From the pile of ashes, a mysterious key appears. With the challenge finally over, Shun and To take the key and leave the room, but as soon as they step outside, they run into another student carrying a key. The terrified boy is being chased by a different Kokeshi doll. As he runs, he warns them that this particular doll only targets people who are alone. He quickly tells them to hold hands if they want to stay safe. The three students immediately join hands. The doll approaches them, checks that they are together, and then loses interest. It turns around and leaves to search for another lonely victim. Shun's group now has 2 keys. As they continue moving through the giant cube, they suddenly hear someone screaming in the distance. Recognizing the voice, they rush toward it. To Shun's horror, the person screaming is Ichika. She is being chased by the same doll that hunts lonely people. Without thinking twice, Shun lets go of the others and runs toward her. Just before the doll can catch her, he grabs Ichika's hand and pulls her to safety. A little later, the group enters another hallway and discovers 2 students standing near a giant wooden head embedded in the wall. The strange head has a timer on its forehead and 7 keyholes beneath it. The 2 students explain that the keys must be placed into the locks. Shun and the others quickly count their keys. The pair already have 2 keys, while Shun's group has another 2. That gives them a total of 4 keys. Unfortunately, they still need 3 more. The problem is that there are only a little over 2 minutes left on the timer. Everyone starts to panic. Finding 3 missing keys in such a short time seems impossible. Then, out of nowhere, 3 keys suddenly land right at their feet. Everyone turns around in shock. Standing at the end of the hallway is Amaya. He calmly walks toward them, carrying another student with him. It quickly becomes clear that Amaya was using that student to avoid being targeted by the lonely Kokeshi doll. Now that he has delivered the remaining keys, the group finally has all 7 they need. But before anyone can thank him, then Amaya looks at the group and offers to join them for the next stage of the game, and judging by the look on his face, nobody is sure whether having him around is a good thing or a very bad idea. Since they need all 7 keys to move forward, the students reluctantly accept Amaya into their group. Together, they place the 7 keys into the giant wooden head. As soon as the last key is inserted, a hidden passage opens. The giant head then tells everyone to change into new clothes before continuing. After getting ready, the group enters a long tunnel and walks through it. When they finally reach the other side, they find themselves in a snowy world covered in ice and snow. At first, everything seems quiet. Then the ground suddenly starts shaking. A few seconds later, the reason becomes clear. A gigantic polar bear comes sliding across the snow on a snowboard, performing tricks as if it were putting on a show. After its over-the-top entrance, the giant bear introduces the next game. It says that it hates lies more than anything. Because of that, the challenge will be very simple. Everyone must answer its questions honestly. The bear explains that if someone lies, it will be able to smell the lie. Then the group must figure out who the liar is. If they successfully identify the liar, they can move on to the next stage. The first question sounds harmless. The bear asks everyone what their favorite food is. The students relax, thinking this game will be much easier than the previous ones. One by one, they give their answers. But as soon as they finish, the giant bear starts sniffing the air. Then it announces that someone has lied. The group is shocked. The bear gives them 2 minutes to decide who the liar is. Everyone starts accusing each other. After a minute of arguing, most of the group points at the young man whom Shun and Ichika had saved earlier. Without hesitation, the giant bear swings its massive paw. The poor student is eliminated instantly. The survivors are horrified, but the game continues. The bear then asks its next question. This time, it asks whether they like Shun. The question catches everyone off guard. Ichika and To immediately admit that they like him. Surprisingly, even Amaya says that he likes Shun. After everyone answers, the bear once again claims that someone is lying. This immediately causes another argument. Ichika points at Amaya, reminding everyone that he tried to harm them earlier. She insists that there is no way he genuinely likes Shun. While the others argue, Shun starts thinking. Something about the game doesn't make sense. Why would anyone risk lying when they know a wrong answer could get them killed? The giant bear suddenly laughs. It seems pleased that Shun is starting to understand. The bear then reveals a shocking piece of information. According to it, one of its servants is secretly hiding among the students. That servant is pretending to be human and intentionally lying to get everyone eliminated. Hearing this, the 2 students from the other school quickly come up with a theory. They believe the traitor must be To. Their reasoning is simple. Shun, Ichika, and Amaya all attended the same school and knew each other before the games. The other pair also knew each other. To is the only person who arrived alone. To them, that makes her suspicious. Shun and Ichika immediately defend her, insisting that she is innocent, but nobody listens. In the end, the majority votes against To. Moments later, she is eliminated, leaving behind only blood on the snow. Shun is devastated. The bear prepares to ask another question, but before it can continue, Shun suddenly steps forward. He announces that he already knows who the real liar is. The giant bear stops and listens, then Shun points directly at the bear itself. Everyone is stunned. Shun explains how he figured it out. When To was eliminated, some of her blood splashed onto the bear's paw. The blood washed away part of the creature's white paint. Underneath the paint, Shun saw black fur. That means the so-called polar bear was actually a black bear pretending to be something else. In other words, the bear had lied from the very beginning. If it lied about being a polar bear, then it could be lying about everything else too. Shun realizes there was never any hidden traitor among them. The bear invented the whole story just to make the students turn against one another and eliminate themselves. The giant bear becomes furious after its secret is exposed. Roaring in anger, it charges at the group and tries to crush them. The students quickly dodge out of the way. The bear misses its target and crashes into a nearby hot spring. The boiling water begins burning its body from the inside. The creature screams in pain as it realizes it is lost. Unable to escape, the giant bear finally accepts defeat. Once again, Shun has managed to uncover the truth and survive another deadly game, but the cost was terrible, and the number of survivors keeps getting smaller with every challenge. After defeating the giant bear, the remaining survivors receive directions to the location of the next game. When they arrive, they are greeted by a group of strange dolls waiting for them. The dolls announce that this will be their final challenge. The game is called Kick the Can, a deadly version of hide and seek. The dolls then explain the rules. One player will be chosen as Akuma, the seeker. Before the game begins, Akuma must take a can from a high platform and place it in the center of a circle on the ground. While Akuma is busy doing that, the other players must find places to hide. Their goal is simple: stay hidden until sunset. If they can do that, they win. But Akuma has a different goal. To win, Akuma must find the hidden players, call out their names, and then stomp on the can. Once that happens, the captured player is locked inside a prison cell until the game ends. However, there is one way to save the prisoners. If someone manages to kick the can, all captured players will be freed immediately. But there is a terrible catch. The dolls reveal that the can contains a deadly explosive. The moment someone kicks it, that person will die. In other words, saving everyone else means sacrificing yourself. After explaining everything, the dolls pull out wooden sticks and draw lots to decide who will become Akuma. Unfortunately for everyone, the chosen person is Amaya. The survivors are horrified. Out of all the people who could have been selected, the most dangerous and unstable person has become the seeker. Everyone prepares themselves and waits for the game to begin. But the moment the dolls give the signal, Amaya does something completely unexpected. He immediately kicks one of the dolls aside, grabs the can, and places it in the circle before anyone has time to properly hide. The game starts with a huge advantage for him. Amaya quickly begins searching for the others. Not long after, he finds the two students from the other school just as they reach a hiding spot. Desperate to survive, the pair decide to fight back, but they never stand a chance. Amaya is far stronger than either of them. Even in a 2-against-1 fight, he easily defeats them and captures both students. Soon after, they are locked inside the prison cell. Meanwhile, Ichika watches everything from a distance. She carefully stays hidden and hopes Amaya won't notice her. Unfortunately, she makes a small mistake. For a brief moment, she exposes her position. That is all Amaya needs. He immediately spots her and starts moving toward her location. At the same time, Shun realizes that Amaya is getting closer. Knowing they need someone near the can, he ties a rope to a heavy object and begins climbing down toward the ground. Meanwhile, Amaya reaches the building where Ichika is hiding. He starts smashing against the door, trying to force his way inside. Ichika quickly realizes something important. There is no way both she and Shun can escape if Amaya keeps chasing them, so she makes a difficult decision. To buy Shun more time, she leaves her hiding place and deliberately puts herself in danger. She moves downstairs and allows Amaya to find her, but something strange happens. Instead of calling out her name and capturing her according to the rules, Amaya simply knocks her unconscious. Then he ignores her completely and continues searching for Shun. A few moments later, he reaches the upper floor, but when he gets there, Shun is already gone. All Amaya finds is the rope hanging from the building, and at that moment, both Hunter and Hunted know that the final game is entering its most dangerous stage yet. After climbing down the rope, Shun knows exactly what Amaya is going to do. Since the can is the key to winning the game, Amaya will never let it out of his sight. Realizing this, Shun stops trying to hide near the can and begins searching the area for something he can use against him. Meanwhile, Amaya waits near the can and tries to trick Shun into coming out. He calls out to him and claims that he has already captured 3 players, which means he has basically completed his goal. According to Amaya, there is no reason for them to keep fighting. He even says that they can become friends and survive together, but Shun knows better. He doesn't trust a single word coming from Amaya. While searching the area, Shun discovers a set of old plate armor and comes up with a risky plan. As the sun slowly begins to set, he finally leaves his hiding place wearing the heavy armor from head to toe. His idea is simple. If the can really explodes when kicked, the armor might protect him. The problem is that the armor is incredibly heavy. Every step becomes difficult, and his movements are painfully slow. Even so, Shun keeps moving toward the can. When Amaya sees him, he immediately rushes over. Shun accidentally drops his sword and ends up standing helplessly near the edge of a cliff. Seeing this, Amaya starts laughing. Since he needs to see Shun's face to officially capture him, he walks over and removes Shun's helmet while making fun of his plan. Believing he has already won, Amaya turns around and starts walking toward the can, but then he suddenly feels something pulling on his waist. He looks down and realizes that a chain has been wrapped around him. At that moment, Shun's real plan is revealed. Before leaving his hiding place, he secretly attached one end of a chain to his armor. Then, while Amaya was removing the helmet, Shun managed to fasten the other end around Amaya's waist. Now Amaya can't reach the can. With his trap complete, Shun does something completely unexpected. He throws himself off the edge and falls toward the sea below. The chain immediately pulls Amaya with him. Desperate not to fall, Amaya grabs onto the edge and struggles to hold on. Meanwhile, Shun reaches the water below and quickly slips out of the heavy armor. Now free from its weight, he begins climbing back up the wall. While Shun climbs, Amaya is forced to pull the massive suit of armor out of the water because it is still attached to him. The task slows him down tremendously. By the time Amaya finally reaches the top again, Shun is already heading toward the can. Both of them are exhausted. Shun can barely stand. Amaya is furious and pushing himself to the limit. The two race toward the can with everything they have left. At the very last moment, Shun gets there first. He swings his leg and kicks the can. Instantly, all the captured players are freed. Everyone panics and prepares for the promised explosion, but nothing happens. A few seconds pass. Then the sky suddenly grows darker, and the dolls appear once again. The dolls announce that Shun is the winner of the game. Then they reveal one final surprise. The story about the can exploding was completely fake. They only said that to make the game more exciting. Amaya is stunned. After everything that happened, he assumes he is about to be eliminated, but the dolls simply laugh and tell him that nobody is going to die. According to them, the whole thing was just a game. As a reward for surviving this far, each participant is handed a popsicle. The dolls tell them to finish eating it before leaving. For the first time in what feels like forever, everyone relaxes. Shun sits down with Ichika and starts talking about the future. They discuss what they might do once all of this is finally over. For a brief moment, everything feels normal again. Then Shun notices some writing on his popsicle stick. Excited, he thinks it might be some kind of prize or reward. But when he looks at Ichika, his smile instantly disappears. Tears are running down her face. Confused, Shun looks at her popsicle stick. Written on it are two terrifying words: "You are eliminated." And in that moment, Shun realizes that the nightmare may not be over after all. Just when everyone thinks the nightmare is finally over, the dolls begin speaking once again. They explain that every game was designed to test a different skill. Some challenges tested intelligence, others tested courage, teamwork, or quick thinking. But according to the dolls, there is one final thing that every survivor needs. The dolls then reveal the shocking truth about the popsicles. Every popsicle stick has a person's fate written on it. The message on Ichika's stick wasn't a mistake. She really has been eliminated. Heartbroken, Shun quickly checks his own popsicle stick. To his surprise, his stick says that he will survive. At first, he feels relieved, but that feeling disappears almost immediately when he realizes what it means. If he survives, then Ichika won't. Even worse, the other survivor isn't Ichika, it's Amaya. That means Shun and Amaya are the only two people chosen to leave the games alive. Now that their fates have been decided, there is nothing anyone can do to change them. A moment later, the dolls attack. They fire strange beams of light at Ichika and the other remaining students who were marked for elimination. Within seconds, their bodies disappear, leaving behind only faint traces of their souls. Shun can do nothing but watch. After everything they went through together, he loses the person he cared about most. With the final challenge completed, Shun and Amaya are lifted high into one of the giant cubes floating above Tokyo. Meanwhile, people all across the city witness what is happening. News of the deadly games has already spread everywhere, and now everyone can see that only 2 students have survived. The public begins calling them the children of God. To the people below, they are no longer ordinary students. They are something much greater. As the mysterious cubes hover over the city, a final message is revealed. One of the survivors will walk the path of destruction and become a powerful godlike being. The other will walk the path of death and become a Shinigami, a god of death. As Shun stares into the unknown future waiting for him, he realizes that surviving the games may have only been the beginning of an even bigger journey. And with that shocking reveal, the story comes to an end.